Welcome to Ending Age-Related Diseases 2020. This event brings together the main players of the longevity industry, researchers, longevity experts, investors, all sorts of public health advocates, and of course, early adopters. We hope that if we work together really hard, then it will be possible to develop interventions to extend healthy human lifespan in our lifetime. Scientific research and development of interventions are not all that is necessary. After there is enough evidence behind all those treatments that we are currently developing, it takes time for the healthcare system to adopt it. So there should be changes to the medical guidelines, there should be education for physicians, there should be schools for patients. And in case of rejuvenation therapies, time is very precious. However, it's very difficult for people to go through all the medical data that is available right now on their own. Access to information might be vital, but it's really difficult to make good use of it. So I'm glad to be joined today by Michael Greve, the founder of the Forever Healthy Foundation and also of Kizoo Technology Ventures. Both organizations are contributing to the rapid development of interventions for healthy life extension. And recently, Michael initiated several analytical projects aimed at providing people with a reliable overview of the available interventions against aging. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hello, Elena. I'm very well. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. Thanks for finding the time to meet. So, Michael, you and your brother founded many successful companies in IT industry before coming into the longevity field. Can you remember what was the defining moment when you actually realized that there is a real possibility to modify aging, and when you decided that this field is worth investigating?
Yeah, I think, that was definitely when I read Aubrey's book, Ending Aging. So first, before that, I read Ray Kurzweil's Fantastic Voyage. But then shortly afterwards, I read Ending Aging. And then I realized, yeah, it's an engineering problem. We can solve that. And for me as an engineer, that was very appealing. So that was it.
I see. How did it influence your lifestyle?
Oh, well, I already started changing my lifestyle before. I was living super unhealthy, and I changed my lifestyle. I wanted to. I started with a simple question: what do I have to do to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible? And after changing my lifestyle and working out and nutrition and doing all the regular stuff, well, I realized I cannot stay healthy indefinitely, or because I'm going to age, and with age come age-related diseases. No matter how much we take care of nutrition, that's important, or exercise, and we need both. So yeah, that was how I realized we should do something about it, and we can do something about it.
I see. Well, several years ago, you donated $10 million to Sense Research Foundation, and this money was split into two different initiatives, one to support fundamental studies and the other one to support biotechnology startups. The news actually was very uplifting to the longevity community, so I wanted to thank you very much for this contribution to science. Why did you decide to allocate the funds this way in two directions at once?
Yes, when I looked at this situation by then, first of all, I really liked what the Sense Research Foundation was doing and the repair-based approach on the molecular and cellular basis. So that was really intriguing to me as an engineer. Looks like a really promising solution. That's one thing. But also having lived through the PC revolution, the internet revolution, the mobile revolution, to get a real momentum behind this whole market, because I think it's going to be the biggest market ever. The question is only how fast this will come along. And to accelerate that, I think we need more people in the market, more researchers, more investors, more people writing about it, more people wanting the products. And I realized if I talk to people about potential rejuvenation therapies, they all think it's science fiction. So so as long as we don't have a working therapy, it's very, very hypothetical. But I strongly believe it's going to be a watershed moment when the first real treatment is out there that really reverses some aspect of aging and not something superficial like injecting Botox or stuff like this. So real rejuvenation. And I think once we have the first treatment out there, the whole discussion is going to change, because then people realize, okay, we can really do something about aging even if it's only one aspect of aging, then the immediate question will be, okay, what other aspects of aging can be reversed? How could we do this? Could we do more on this first aspect? So it's a very, very natural way and that things would progress. And in order for this to happen, we need startups that take basic research on molecular and cellular repair and repair of age-related damage, and really turn that into applications for human use. Once we have the first therapies, I think this is going to be the biggest step forward in hindsight that for the whole industry and for humanity in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree on that. You have quite a history already of being part of this community and of this industry. If we were to compare the main bottlenecks of this field that existed, say, 5 years ago and that exists now, how did it change in your view?
Well, very positive. I'm super positive. So everything is accelerating. So there's more research. There are more. When 5 years ago there were no conferences. Now we have your conference. We have the Undoing Aging conference in Berlin. We have other conferences. So we have more conferences. We have more interest. Like 5 years ago, there was virtually zero interest from investors to invest in startups in that field. So this has changed. Of course, there could be much more, but Kizu's unfortunately not the only company. There are other companies, other funds out there that started investing in rejuvenation startups. So there's really, we are picking up momentum in a very, very positive way.
Let's discuss the analytical projects that you have recently started. So how did you come to the decision that those projects are an important part of the picture, and what's the goal?
It's from my personal experience, because I want to do all these things. I want to stay as healthy as possible, as long as possible. And if, for me personally, I think a lot of other people, we don't have the time to wait for another 20, 30 or 40 years until we have the perfect therapies, until we have 20 years of experience where I go to my doctor and my doctor says, well, Michael, don't worry, we're doing this for 20 years now. It's easy, you do this, this, and this. So we are not there yet. We will be there, but nobody knows when. So we are here right now. And I think the best thing is to do, on the one hand, accelerate the development, and on the other hand, use all the technology that's available right now to bring ourselves into the future. So, and this is where the real challenge comes, because the market right now, the first therapies are there. That's a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, the market is completely cowboy style. It's marketing driven. There's no reliable source of information. There's a lot of misinformation. So neither for early adopters nor for doctors who want to offer treatments, there's a reliable source of information, what really works, what could be done today. And on the other hand, what is also beautiful, there's a lot of leading medical technology and knowledge that's out there, but it's also deeply buried in scientific research papers, specialized communities, specialized doctors, and it's virtually inaccessible to the average person or to the average doctor that doesn't spend a lot of effort. So we want to change this, because I want to have it for myself, the information. What can I do today? What is reasonable? What are the risks of doing a certain intervention? What are the benefits? What is potential risk management? How should the therapy be applied? And it's all in order to enable people to make educated decisions about what to do today in order to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And if you do this over time, of course, the therapies available will get better and better, and we will always use the best technology available at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a wonderful idea in my view. And, you know, I heard from some biohackers in our community that actually one of the main drivers behind their efforts is actually a huge motivation to have control over the body functions. But they admit that not everyone has this motivation that is required to go through the analysis of medical literature on their own. So the work that you're doing is incredibly important. And I wanted to ask you one more question. There are several projects that you are currently leading. So what's the difference between one? What's the focus of each one of them?
So we have basically three projects that focus on what can I do now. The first is called Rejuvenation Now. That is about, really, we have a long list of the potential real rejuvenation therapies that can be done today. And rejuvenation therapies, these are basically three main categories that are either geroprotectors that slow down the aging process. These are compensatory treatments, things that compensate for things that go down, like NAD goes down, your hormones go down with aging, that compensate, bring them up to level, or actual molecular and cellular repair. So that initiative, Rejuvenation Now, We look at all the therapies that are there. We have a long backlog of what can be done, and we pick one after the other. We dig into the scientific research. Usually we go over between 2,000 and 3,000 papers actually. We pick all the relevant clinical and preclinical studies that have been done. That's mostly between 150 to 200 studies. And then we do a real weighted analysis. So what are the benefits that have been shown, hopefully in clinical trials? What are the adverse effects? What are the risks? How could the risk management be done? Because everything in life is about risk and risk management. So nothing is without risk, but once you know how to handle the risk, then you can say, okay, make a decision and I can do this now. So this is what we do in Rejuvenation now. We have already done 5 of these risk and benefit analysis. We publish them open access, so it's available to everybody. And we're continuing to do so. The second initiative, it's called Maximizing Health. And that is focused on all the medical knowledge, the leading edge medical knowledge to various topics that is already there that can be used to immediately improve our health, well-being, and also longevity. For example, what can I do to prevent or to lower my likeliness of getting cancer or getting a cardiovascular event? Because it's not only about rejuvenation, but I want to stay healthy and not have cancer or a heart attack right now. And the third initiative that we have, we call this our health and longevity strategy. This is pulling all the knowledge together into one simple to follow step-by-step strategy that allows people easy to implement this in their own life. I want this for myself. What can I do? In what steps? What do I do for nutrition? Not overkill, but like 80-20, which are the 20% actions that really get me the 80% results, because you have to see our health resides on numerous different pillars. And if we just work on one, like optimizing brain health or optimizing our cardiovascular health, it will not do good for our longevity. So we have to cover all the pillars with the same weight to really have healthy longevity and not neglect something. So we try to make a holistic, a comprehensive strategy that says, okay, we spend this reasonable amount of energy on the things, so you can benefit most from what's out there, both for rejuvenation and for functional medicine and all the medical knowledge. So these are the main initiatives that we have in that area.
Yeah, thanks for telling about them in detail. I wanted to ask you, how did you personally benefit from the first analytical reports that have been done as part of those initiatives? Any particular, revelations that you have got?
Very much. I absolutely benefited from that. Now that we have the projects in place, the team in place that does the review, this is what I always wanted to have for myself when I started my journey into healthy longevity, because I had to do all the research by myself. So I actually sat down and read all the papers, did all the work. And now I'm so happy that we have a team doing this. And even at a deeper level than I could ever do it by myself. And so, yeah, for me, it's really great to know that I can use Visitin as a senolytic and what the protocol is about that. I just finished my first flight of low-level light therapy. Actually, we bought one of light therapy devices, and for skin rejuvenation, for example, that actually works. So it's really stimulating rejuvenation in the skin. I learned about this through the research that we've been doing. So it's great, and we share all this with the world. So we make it open access, so everybody can participate in the same way.
I see. What will be your advice for the representatives of the investment industry who would like to enter this field? How to start? What bottlenecks to consider? What problems to consider to develop their own strategy and their own portfolio in a productive way?
Well, I think one is that the market is still very young and the community is small. So, and everybody's open for cooperation. This is my experience. So nobody's keeping really stuff to himself. The risks are very high in biotech, and usually investors band together. So the initial investment in a rejuvenation startup is often done by 2 or 3 investors together. So if people want to come into the market, I would suggest attend the conferences like Ending Age-Related Diseases or Undoing Aging, or the other conferences are there. Reach out to people who are already in the market, talk to them, make contacts, and we're also building a network of investors, and you're building a network of investors. The community is really open, that's my experience, and people are even sharing deals and sharing knowledge, and everybody right now in the market wants to bring things together. So we welcome every new member, every new company who wants to enter the market. So I think it's a good time to come into the market, and also to build a good early reputation, of course, for the early starter. The later you come, the more mature the market is. It's always the same, you know. In the beginning is more risks, but also more rewards, and it's always the same.
Thanks. I think that's a great advice. Thank you very much. That was a nice conversation, Michael. Thank you for taking the time to joining us at the Ending Age-Related Diseases 2020 conference. Good luck with your projects. They are incredibly important to provide people with reliable information about the promising interventions for aging. And I hope that when we meet again, we will be biologically younger than we're now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me in that interview. And I also want to thank the whole team at Lifespan.io for the incredible work that you're doing. I know that's all volunteer work, and you're really, really doing important work to advance the field. So thank you very much for that as well.
Thank you, Mike.